Hey, what's up? Hungry Hands here with a special recipe this time, and as you may already discovered, it's about chili. Furthermore, it's about my own recipe for chili. Everyone has their own way of cooking this dish and uses their own ingredients, and I thought I'd present to you my way of cooking it. I guess it has some little twists that you didn't see in the chili recipe by now. So let's get straight into it by peeling and cutting a large onion. The goal is to cut the onion very finely that it almost becomes a paste. That's because we want to let the onion dissolve easier later, so all the juice and all the flavor comes out. As you can see, I'm using a special dicer for this, but that's not necessary. I just have it and thought, why not use it then? It's just a fast way to cut things very small. Here we have it. Really small, and there's already juice that came out. And that's okay. Next ingredient is of course some chilies. I mean, we're cooking a chili here, so we definitely need some of them. But these chilies aren't the spicy ones. They are very mild, and that's okay. We only want the mild flavor out of them because we're using other ingredients for the heat later. Just cut these chilies into little pieces and remove the seeds. Of course, you can use just 1 or 2 or 3 like me. You may notice in my other recipes that I'm kind of into very spicy dishes. By the way, it's easier with a spoon to remove the seeds. Now I take a dried bay leaf and turn it into little pieces as well. You can use fresh ones, but I didn't had any, so dried ones are totally fine. What's the one ingredient that has to be there every time? Right, garlic. 5 cloves of it. Roughly chop it and put everything into a pestle, because we're going to crush everything in it. But before we do that, a little pinch of salt and olive oil goes in there as well. We want to press the juices, the flavors out of the ingredients, so they infuse the oil later and give a little deeper flavor. Next step is to put 2 cans of whole tomatoes into a bowl and crush them with your hands. Or use a fork, whatever you like. I like to use whole tomatoes more than shredded ones, because they're not as liquid as shredded ones, and I always have the feeling they have a deeper tomato flavor because of that. Put a little bit of water into the cans and mix them a little bit so the rest of the good tomato juice does not get wasted. Another important ingredient, the meat. Here it is. I'm using 1 kilo of ground beef. Basically, you can use the meat you like, but I would recommend to use a part that does not have too much fat, because you want a rich, meaty, smoky, deep flavor, and beef with a lot of fat tends to overweight the taste of the fat. Of course, we could just cook the meat as it is, but for my chili I always use the following method to keep the juice and the flavor when it's cooking later. Take a handful of the meat and knead it from hand to hand, turning it into meatballs, almost as big as a golf ball. You're going to feel how the meat and the little parts of fat combine more and everything gets smoother, thicker, and that's exactly what will help us keeping the good stuff in there later. Now, get yourself a big pot and heat up some butter and some olive oil together. When the butter is melted and hot, put in the onion paste. It's going to take a few minutes to cook away most of the liquid, so keep stirring from time to time. Once the onions don't render out much juice anymore, you can add the grinded parts and keep on stir frying for a couple minutes. Then it's time to place the meatballs in the pot. Make little nests for them so they touch the surface of the bottom and let them cook for about 10 minutes without touching them on medium to high heat. As you can see, almost every half of the meatballs change their color. That's the sign to turn them around and cook them again for about 10 minutes. You can already see that there's still some meat juice rendered out of the meatballs, and we won't wait until that is cooked away. We're straight up gonna add a good tablespoon of ground caraway seeds, stir and add 1 liter of beef broth. Now put in some tomato paste, about 1.5 teaspoons, followed by the canned tomatoes we crushed earlier. Give it a good stir, cover and bring to a boil. Once it's boiling, add 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, a pinch of cayenne, a teaspoon sugar, some ground pepper, and very important, add a good tablespoon of chili sauce. I used one of my favorite, which is the extra hot chili sauce from ABC. You should find that in most of Asian grocery stores, and there are some other sorts of these ABC sauces that are less hot if you don't like the chili too hot. But for my version we definitely need the extra heat. In it goes, and as always give it a good stir. Cover again and let it come to a boil. In the meantime take some dark chocolate, and I mean dark chocolate, I used the 99% one, and mix it with about 150 ml coffee and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Add to the pot and stir it in. The coffee, the chocolate and the cinnamon support the smoky and lightly bitter taste that we want in the end. Next step is to let it cook covered for about 3 to 4 hours on low to medium heat so that the chili can cook on its own, the flavors can combine and develop even more. After that time, just turn off the heat and let the chili rest for 1 whole day. 1 day later, the chili got some sleep, and as you can see, in that time it created a deep red color, which is really awesome. The consistency is already thicker, but we will let it cook again for some time so that more liquid can evaporate. But before we let that happen, we bring it to a boil again covered, and what we do then is mashing the meatballs so that all the good flavors and juices that hide in there will explode into the chili. I used a potato masher for that, but I guess you can do it with anything else that works. Some pepper and a pinch of sugar go in, and now we let it cook uncovered for 30 to 40 minutes on low to medium heat. Time's passed, and next up are beans and corn, which we will add and let cook for 30 minutes again. If we would have put them in earlier, they would have been soggy and floury by now, and of course we don't want that. Last step is a good amount of pepper to your taste, and then it's done. You can add the toppings you like to the chili. I kept it very basic with some mashed avocado, some cheddar cheese, some nachos and a tablespoon of sour cream. There you have it, my own and favorite chili recipe. I hope you like it as much as I do. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, until next time, Hungry Hands.